Black woman thinks no one is racist in California?
No racist in California? Come on, there's no way. Ever been to Venice? I lived in California too. I've seen racists everywhere.
Okay, there are definitely racist motherfuckers in California. I don't know what she's saying. Wait, why is Steven Crowder coming across like a lib here? I mean, there are.
We're talking about all these protests there a couple days ago here about the Roe V Wade situation.
Sure, absolutely.
So, first let me ask you, you consider yourself pro-choice, pro-life, pro-choice with limitations? How would you define
I'm definitely pro-choice.
Okay.
You know, I'm definitely pro-choice.
Okay. What's your opinion on the overturning of Roe v. Wade?
It's ridiculous, you know. As a woman, I think it's astronomical how we could consider, and no offense to you, but how a heterosexual male can tell me what I should and should not do with my body. I think there's so many stipulations that go into this. Pregnancies, tubal pregnancies, things that happen to your body that require abortions for medical reasons for us as women to like literally live and survive.
Okay, she's spitting, which by the way, this is a weird part of just like living in America where like every random person, you know what I mean? You can be like a random American citizen, especially if you're like a woman, somewhat liberal minded person. Like you have to literally become this like talking point machine. You know what I mean? Like no normal human being should have to constantly be on the defensive and like have a fucking spreadsheet of facts ready to just like fire off, but just such is the nature of being like a fucking normal human being in America where you're just like, oh, at any given moment I might have a Steven Crowder style situation where I just have to fucking blast off. Also, obviously 2 minutes in and Steven Crowder has not you know, I'm beginning to notice black woman thinks no one's racist in California. I love that this part didn't make it to the fucking title. I wonder why.
So none of those other things matter then? We could have just eliminated all that. Yeah. Just do you think people should really get an abortion for whatever reason?
I think you should be able to make any decision as far as HIPAA laws are concerned for yourself and your body at any time. So
what is your, because a lot of people have different interpretations or understandings of what the overturning of Roe v. Wade is.
Actually means?
Yeah. What is your interpretation of what would happen if Roe v. Wade is overturned?
My interpretation is that it doesn't matter what your reasoning is, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that abortions will now be illegal or at least in the state of Texas for anybody.
No.
Correct me.
No, it's not. No, it's it just gives the right to states to make their own laws regarding abortion restrictions.
Sure.
So I'll get into my opinion in a second, but I want to sort of discuss the issue of whether we agree on the fact that it's good or bad law. So it's not banning abortion. It puts it back to the state.
I don't agree with that.
Okay. So what do you think should happen? Do you think there should be it should be enshrined into federal law that abortion is a constitutional right?
I think it took a long time for Roe versus Wade to even become about and to pass. And that if we aren't careful, history will continue to repeat itself over and over again. So the fact that that law is what it is, I don't know why we're going back and trying to now tweak that.
The issue was, right, Roe v. Wade was sort of under the guise, it was settled under the guise of the 14th Amendment, the Due Process Clause.
Okay.
So there's no constitutional right to an abortion.
Okay.
And essentially because you just mentioned sort of the HIPAA laws. And the idea was that under the Due Process Clause, there's a right to privacy, which also isn't necessarily a constitutional right, but under the Due Process Clause, that a woman had that right to privacy with her doctor and allowed state.
Why? Who cares? I don't care. You're not addressing the issue. I don't like the fact that we have to play this game with conservatives or just like debate perverts in general, where we have to act like the originalist position is like a legitimate one and not like a totally made up fucking constitutional interpretation that was created in the past 50 years. Just because it's like taught in schools and shit now doesn't mean that it's like actually a legitimate way to interpret the Constitution, unless you let me cut your fucking leg off and kill you by the age of 35. In which case, like, okay, you can be an originalist. Like I said, you can be an originalist and try to interpret the Constitution as the founders intended, okay? With respect to the time and with respect to the words that they use, but like you have to die at the age of 35 from smallpox, okay? So I hate that this like, I feel like we're like Disney adults when we have this conversation like, oh yeah, we have to take it seriously that you like wanna fucking try to like have a bunch of legal jargon and slap a bunch of legal jargon and like fucking constitutional interpretations into whether or not women should be able to get a fucking healthcare. Women should be able to get like a fundamental part of their healthcare coverage, which revolves around their reproductive rights. Like it's stupid.
And they looked at it, and this is something that even Ruth Bader Ginsburg said, where they said, you know what, this is just sort of bad law, so it has to go back.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The entire fucking game about the Supreme Court is about like trying to fucking reinterpret the Constitution in a way that makes sense. That's it. But ultimately, it doesn't matter. None of this fucking matters. Under the Constitution, the woman he's talking to wouldn't be allowed to attend the same school as him. I mean, he wants that for sure. You know they want that shit. Are you kidding me? But they'll couch it in ideas like school choice and the freedom to choose your school, and not necessarily we should be able to segregate schools again, which are already segregated, for the record.
I also don't agree that after your first trimester, you should be looking at options as far as abortion, right? Because at this point, your fetus is a full-grown fetus. You know, there's things that are happening.
That's not true.
Your baby's developing.
That's not true. Well, what if you, okay. Second trimester pregnancies are relatively rare, okay? First trimester abortions are where 90% of the abortions happen. Second trimester abortions are still incredibly rare. And third trimester pregnancies are in almost all of the circumstances, or abortions, sorry. Third trimester abortions are in almost all of the circumstances completely because of a medical necessity, okay? This idea that, like, we have to have a conversation about the second trimester or the third trimester is such a silly one. And it's one that is, like, conservative. Always lock you into, okay? Don't have this conversation.
So it sounds to me like you're saying you do support eliminating abortion as an option after the first trimester.
I do. I agree with that.
Okay.
No reason to agree with that. Again, never concede to one of these fucking freaks, okay? Don't do it. Don't concede to them. Be like, no, I actually think abortions are valid even post-birth. I think you should be able to be postpartum aborted, actually.
Week 12, that makes it no longer acceptable.
Eyeballs, fingers, toes, hair. I mean, you know, you're going from this small cell. I mean,
but that happens before the second trimester.
Well, but the thing is,
that's why you don't concede to that bullshit, dude. That's why you don't concede to that fucking framing. I don't give a fuck if something has toes, okay? I don't care that you, with the medical fascination of ultrasound technology, were able to fucking use technological achievements to, like, drive home a fucking narrative that, like, the little thing inside of you is something more than a fucking parasite. It's actually a real human because it got fucking toes on it. And that's why I love that Charlie Kirk video. Play that clip. Play the Charlie Kirk gets own clip, chat. Let's do it, okay? Here it is, dude. Here it fucking is, dude. Hey, let's take a look at that. What's that? What's that? Play that fucking DJ. Play that clip.
You truly, in your heart of hearts, truly believe that this is a human being. This,
without a doubt.
Without a doubt?
Yes.
This is a dolphin fetus.
So let me.
Without a doubt, a dolphin fetus is a human being.
There you go. That fetus had fucking toes and shit. What's up? It also had a goddamn tail. One of the most disgusting fucking things I ever hear from conservatives regularly. Literally the fucking entire point of the Civil War. Okay. Oh, it was states' rights. It was about states' rights. It was about states' rights. States' rights to own what? States' rights to own slaves. Okay. It's not about fucking states' rights. But now they're trying to do that for abortion, to act like this is actually about doing it in a more democratic capacity, except there's not a single fucking state in the country where overturning Roe V Wade has more than 30% support. There is not a single state in this country where, again, I'm going to repeat myself, including Texas, including Florida, no state has a 51% support for banning abortions, okay? That does not exist. Relitigating something that 70% of the country has fucking agreed upon for literally the past 50 fucking years is insane. Using the Supreme Court, where 5 of the Supreme Court justices were in lifetime positions, by the way. 5 of the Supreme Court justices were appointed, not elected, obviously not. That would be democratic, and we don't do democracy in this fucking country, but appointed by 2 Republican presidents that didn't even win the fucking majority vote. They didn't win the popular vote. They lost the popular vote, and they got to elect 5 Supreme Court justices, okay? That's democracy to you? They get to overturn something for the 30% of the country that want to fucking, you know, enforce their psychotic religious fucking perspective upon the entirety of the nation? That's insane, dude. That's not democratic at all, but it doesn't fucking matter, okay? Steven Crowder knows that. It's not about democracy. It's just, he's just repackaging it as democracy because he's a fucking monster, an evil person who needs to be. He should, if there was any justice in the world, again, shove him back in his mother's pussy and fucking abort it, okay, as a fetus. Or just send his fucking bitch ass back to Canada. Go fucking deal with the Canadian politics. What the fuck are you in here? Just a reminder, because of non-proportional representation of demographics, in order to break the filibuster and overcome the R+6-7 bias in the Senate, Democrats would need to win 3 straight elections by 19 points to make abortion legal nationally. This Republican Party that has successfully done this is still running around and going to turn back into a reasonable, moderate Republican Party, according to Nancy Pelosi. Like, come on, please. Throw our hands up in the air and go, please, Republicans, just don't win too hard. It's very frustrating that dumbasses, even at this stage, when you are literally demonstrably seeing that just simply vote lol for the Democrats doesn't work, still come into this chat and turn around and say, Well, we should need more moderate Democrats, actually. No, we don't. Moderate Democrats are the reason why we're here to begin with. We need to start fucking bullying our own representatives, okay? That's it. We need to bully them to do the right thing because they're not going to do it. That's why I always joke about the gauntlet. Like, the threat of proletarian violence would probably get them to act in a certain way. So I talk about the legislation of the gauntlet, okay? Where you pick one fucking person from your state, all right? You pick one challenger, one champion, one working class champion to beat the fucking shit out of your representative on the fucking halls of the Senate, on the floor of the Senate. You beat them up, okay? If they reach below a certain point. If they reach below a certain popularity rating. If their approval rating dips beneath 30%, that means that they're not representing the interests of their state. They're not representing their actual constituents. So what do? We bring a challenger, a champion, okay? A man of the people that comes in and beats the living fucking shit out of a congressperson. And then we put it on C-SPAN for pay-per-view. There you go. You're literally fucking funding the government further. Let's get back to the Steven Crowder video.
Why is Plan B a thing, right? There's a reason why day after something, you can go into CVS right now and a young lady can say, I know I did whatever I did last night and I'm going to make sure that I'm protecting myself.
So did what I did. I'm assuming sex.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so to me, you saying, okay, here at this point in time, there's people who are, I'm not a doctor, right, obviously. I wouldn't be wearing this.
Spoiler alert, neither am I.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can tell.
So, you know, somebody somewhere sat down and said, this makes sense, who gets paid a lot more money than me and understands the anatomy of the human body. But yeah, no, I don't.
But that's kind of the issue though, right? Is no one has sit down and said it made sense. For example, in a place like Colorado, you can have...
It's not true. That's not true. Of course they have thought about this. Like, Steven Crowder is creating a universe in which, like, doctors and medical professionals have not, on top of the philosopher Andes, okay, have not talked endlessly about the medical ethics of allowing women to be able to get a fucking abortion. That's wild to me.
Have an abortion all the way up until 8-9 months.
Yeah, no, I don't agree with that.
Okay. And that'll still be the law in Colorado.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The reason why it's the law in fucking Colorado is because it is a medical necessity, okay? That's it.
They'll still be allowed to do that in Virginia.
Well, what's the difference between that and some girl throwing herself down the stairs? People are going to do what they want to do when they want to do it.
Well, no, this is about babies who were born who survived abortions and they were just leaving it in a room to die.
Sure, but you're saying in Colorado at 8 months, it's still legal for them to get abortions, which I didn't know. That's what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, so if a lady's 8 months pregnant and she's just in dire whatever mental state and she decides she doesn't want to have that kid.
See, this is actually good. She's like pushing back in the most like sane way because she's like, well, that's insane, actually. What you're saying seems like an insane thing to think and say.
To stop her from jumping off the top of this building and her pushing herself down the stairs.
Well, I don't know. Hopefully there'd be some bars on the window.
We don't know.
We don't know.
Right.
Wait, what? Why? I thought he was a libertarian. Why do you want to stop people from fucking committing suicide? I'm so confused, bro. What the fuck?
It sounded to me like you were saying after the second trimester, no abortion, but now it sounds like you're saying, yeah, it should be fine for a place like Colorado to have abortions at 7, 8 months.
No, I'm not saying that at all.
Okay.
I literally said I do not agree with that.
Okay, so you still think...
But what I don't think is that we should go so far back that we're saying every state should make their own opinion before the first trimester, after the second trimester, because to me, I live in Texas, I'm originally from California, and I know we vote very differently between
I hope that you're not one of those who comes from California and brings your politics here, because you left for a reason, right?
I didn't leave by choice. My parents brought me here.
Oh, okay.
So I think views are going to very much differ in living in the Bible Belt. I've seen, you know, how that can affect people. I've seen how it affects me as a black person, 112%. So
how so? What's the 12?
What's the 12%?
Yeah. What's the 12 past 100?
I literally went.
It's an expression, man. Come on. Oh my God. He's like literally trying to nitpick anything he can. It's wild, dude.
I went to a restaurant when I was 8 years old and they told my cheerleading coach that I couldn't go into their restaurant because I was black. And that was in Texas and it would never happen in California. So there's just...
Also, wait, hold on. I gotta like talk about something, okay? So we brought up Colorado abortion laws, okay? So important to mention here. So abortion in Colorado is legal in all states of the pregnancy. It's one of the 7 states without any term restrictions as to when a pregnancy can be terminated. 59% of adults said in a poll by the Pew Research Center that abortion should be legal in most cases in Colorado. So one, that's democratic. States' rights, baby. Sucks to suck. You can't be fucking talking about that. And let's take a look at like the actual decisions and the context of why free birth correlates teenage girls having fewer pregnancies, all that sort of stuff. But let's talk about why. Ballot box history. Colorado Amendment 48 was an initiative in 2008 to amend the definition of a person to any human being from the moment of fertilization. On November 4th, 2008, the initiative was turned down by 73.2% of the voters. Consistent with the rest of the country. That's really interesting that religious fucking weirdos tried to change that in the Colorado Constitution and wanted to turn it into like a person is any fertilized seed, okay? Any fertilized egg is a person. And 73% of Coloradans said, fuck no. But Steven Crowder is mad about that. Why is Steven Crowder seeing himself into Coloradans' business if he wants states' rights? Can someone explain that to me really quickly? Oh, probably not, because it has nothing to do with fucking states' rights at all. It has everything to do with just like having a dumbass fucking conversation, having a dumbass argument. So that's one thing. In 1990, 426,000 women in the state faced the risk of an unintended pregnancy. Since the start of the 2008 Colorado Family Planning Initiative, the number of abortions performed in the state fell by nearly half for women between the ages of 15 to 19, which, by the way, I suspect the Colorado Family Planning Initiative is the exact same thing as like what the abortion freaks do regardless. Like that's the anti-abortion activists that go in and lie to people and like try to urge them to not get a fucking abortion. Why does someone need the choice to get an abortion up to going into labor? Why? Okay, great question. Okay, are you ready for this? First, my question to you is like, why do you care? Okay, like what's it to you? Obviously, you're not the one who's fucking carrying a pregnancy to term. Now, the second reason, and the more important part of this, is that almost all of the situations where someone is having a third trimester pregnancy, that is a medical complication that is an absolute necessity. You don't care about the sanctity of life. You've never had a morally consistent perspective on the sanctity of life, so shut the fuck up about that. Let's be real. Most humans don't, especially if you're not conservative, and if you are literally a fucking, the type of person who's like, I want to restrict women from having abortions, then you quite literally are in an oxymoronic position where you are openly admitting that you don't care about the sanctity of the carrier, which is a life. But like I said, ultimately, it's not about, wait, you banned them. What did they say? Joe Biden even could put together a sentence. Does someone need the choice to get an abortion and go into labor? Why? I actually have 2 children. I fucking doubt it. You're an unfuckable debate pervert if you're in the chat trying to do that.
Things
It definitely happens in California.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I appreciate
It
talking
definitely
to you.
happens in California.
8 minutes and 39 seconds. In the last 5-second stretch, I guess she says something.
Really fun.
Okay.
No,
You were saying no racists in California? Come on, there's no way. Ever been to Venice? I've seen some. I lived in California too.
This is the most copium-induced thing I've ever seen in my entire life. She didn't even say anything about that. He literally put words in her mouth and then titled it as such. What a pathetic fucking cuck loser. Oh my God, dude.